Hey beautiful internet nerds, how you doing? I have begun working on a video talking about what I learned from my very first Dungeon Master, but then I realized there was so much to it that I just needed to tell the whole story. I've already talked about this on my stream, and I told it to the guys at the All Things D&D channel, and they turned it into a video. Their video is basically in my words, and they have a nice little picture to look at while you listen to the story, so if you want to watch it, check it out. This video will be more specifics and reactions to the entire campaign. Disclaimer, I really don't want to bash on this guy. I'm sure to some people he's a wonderful friend, brother, husband, DM, whatever. I'll make a more clinical video about it later, about what I learned from the experience, both good and bad. For now, this is going to be a little bit more of a vent. I found an interest in D&D almost 2 years ago. I'd watched Critical Role, which is very basic. I know some of you are already judging me and assuming that I'm the one in the wrong, but I loved it and I wanted to try it myself. I posted on Reddit wanting to play, trying to find a time that was available. We had at the time a very young kid, so it would be impossible really to go and play for long periods of time, so it had to be an online game. So I posted on Reddit about when I was available and how much I wanted to play, and pretty soon I was contacted by this guy. His group was playing Pathfinder, and I was only really familiar with 5e, but I thought, hey, close enough. Ha! No. Listen, I'm not bagging on Pathfinder. It is a fine game. It's just not my thing. If it's your thing, wonderful, awesome. My brain just doesn't hold on to all of those rules, which the fact that I didn't know the rules actually turned out to be a bit more of a problem than I thought it would be, but I'll get to that in just a second. The DM and most of the players were friends in real life. It was just us and one other guy from Australia that were the odd ones out. There was a husband and wife that were the main head of the group. When I say main head, the way it was explained to us was that the wife was the dungeon master, but she was really bad at it. And so the husband would come take over when she was struggling. The hope was that she would take over more as time went on and she got better at it. But basically what happened was she would run the game maybe for 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of the session, and then he would take over saying that she was busy or their kid was having a problem or something, but he pretty much ran the whole game. He was the one who helped me create my character. He was the one that I would bargain with about different things with my character and stuff. So for all intents and purposes, he was the DM, and that's what I'm gonna call him. Since I'd never seriously played a fantasy tabletop RPG before, I basically created a character that was me, just fantasied up a little bit. Half-elf paladin of Ilmater, who's the god of suffering and alleviating suffering. The dungeon master helped me make some of those bigger decisions, but the character sheet itself, he essentially filled out on his own after we were done with our Discord call. I had no idea how any of the skill points worked, or the encumbrance, or the equipment, or anything about Pathfinder, so I was totally happy to let him do that all on his own. In fact, I was actually really grateful for that, because I was more focused on the storytelling part anyway, and I figured it wouldn't be a big deal. Naive! Lazy! I know. If I was planning on playing Pathfinder for a little while, even more than just 2 or 3 games, I should have read the rules. Or at least started to. That's my bad, I know. So the campaign had already started by the time that I got into the group. I think they had done 2 sessions before. So I was coming in on session 3. I don't really remember getting much of a rundown on what had been happening before I got into the campaign. So my first memory really of playing was my character being called out on the street by the Dungeon Master's player character. Oh yeah, he had a character he played. She was apparently the chosen of Mystra, goddess of magic, and it was my destiny to be part of their party. They were in a quest to slay a dragon, and I, of course, should aid them.
Clearly.
Yes,
definitely.
So I did. The party was a human fighter, an elf ranger, and a half-orc barbarian with a level of bard. The DM PC was an Illumian, which I don't think is official in Pathfinder. Either way, she had glowing sigils floating around her head at all times, and an aura of specialness. On our way to the dragon, we found a crumbling church filled with goblins and skeletons, and we decided to check it out, because that's what adventurers do. This is when my frustrations began. The DM had given me the heaviest of heavy armor. My stealth was horrible. My movement speed was nearly reduced in half. He had also not given me any real weapons. According to him, Ilmater himself does not like violence, and he doesn't like lethal damage. So if I dealt any lethal damage to somebody who wasn't an undead or a fiend, then I would lose my paladin abilities. All I could use were my fists. So there I was, a snail of a tank, inching along in my armor, never able to make it to the enemies, no ranged weapons, and if I ever made it near an enemy, all I could do was... Oh, and another thing. My husband was joining the group that session too, but the DM didn't introduce his character until we were all done with this dungeon. So this whole time, he had to just sit next to me doing nothing for 3 hours. When we reached the final baddie at the end of the session, it was immediately clear that we were super outclassed. The thing could down us in 1 or 2 hits. I was so sure that we were all going to die. But 1 or 2 of the other players said something about the Illumian character. On her turn, the DM's character waved her hand, and giant balls of flaming light came down and incinerated all of the enemies all at once. What? I mean, I was happy to not be dead, but I was a little confused. I didn't say anything. I figured I would kind of figure it out later. Maybe I should have said something then. Next session, we get to a military base that's been getting attacked by this dragon, and we had a little bit of time to prepare ourselves. I went immediately to the blacksmith shop. I wanted to trade out to get some lighter armor. I also wanted to get a real weapon. I was like, yeah, self-improvement. I'm gonna be useful now. Yes! Ha! No. The blacksmith didn't want my armor. There were symbols of Ilmater on it, and he was all, if I buy it, someone will take it and pretend to be a paladin and ruin the reputation of your organization, or they just won't be worthy to wear armor made for a paladin. He wouldn't sell me armor either. What? At least he sold me a sword. Though the DM did say, if I used it to do lethal damage to anything that wasn't a fiend or undead, Ilmater would be pissed. So I was annoyed. And then it was time to go to the mess hall. Time for some fun RP, right? Ha! I refused the offered ale, Nice and paladin of me, I thought. Turns out that was a good thing. The 2 party members that decided to drink were told they woke up in bed together the next day. No roles, no choices, it just happened. They didn't seem too bothered by it, but I was kind of bothered after we left. Or was it before? I don't remember. It was 2 years ago, and it's all kind of blended in my brain in this big old mush of awful. So I don't remember exactly. Anyway, we were ambushed by some bandits. They were up on this ridge, and we were down in the road beneath. And they were all firing bows at us. And they had a good amount of cover behind some trees. I don't know about Pathfinder, but at least in D&D 5e, the bandits are not something that's gonna really give you much trouble beyond level 2 or 3. I might be remembering wrong, but they were doing crazy tons of damage to us. And because of their cover, they were basically unhittable for us, even for our ranger. I legitimately don't remember how we resolved it exactly. I think we ended up paying their fee and going on our way. I do remember though that only the Illumian girls' persuasion check could get them to stop firing on us. I think I remember some sort of condescending remark. Not every conflict must be resolved with bloodshed.
Wow. Morality.
After we actually started going through the icy mountains looking for the dragon, I could tell that some of the other players were starting to get bothered as well. At some point, we stopped at some abandoned house or cabin or something for a long rest. And during the night, the dragon just kept bothering us. It would come scratch on the windows, it would roar really loud and we couldn't sleep, and if we tried to go out to fight it or scare it away, it would either pounce on us crazy fast or it would fly away. Either way, at the end of the night, the dungeon master said, "You didn't get a long rest. You weren't able to sleep, so you didn't get a long rest." Well, what are you gonna do now? We take a long rest. Oh. Okay. I'll skip some of the other unpleasantness to the dragon fight. Once again, we were majorly outclassed. The thing was downing us in one hit, and me, with my teeny little 20-foot movement, I couldn't even get close to the thing. And even if I did, the armor class of it was so high that none of us could score a hit on it unless we rolled 18 or higher. Me, being the slow nothing that I was, I resigned myself to just having the Illumian girl fix it for us again. And boy, she did. She turned herself into an adult gold dragon. Let me say that again. An adult gold dragon. We were all level 3, and she became an adult gold dragon. What the heck? She chased down the original dragon and killed it easily, as of course she would. Absolute dead silence from the rest of us for at least a good minute or two. I think he got the hint that we were a bit upset and kind of prodded to see what the problem was. Me and my husband, we tried to be diplomatic. We're not very confrontational people, and we didn't have a lot of experience, so we weren't super sure if our feelings were valid. The guy's friends, though, let him have it. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of swearing, a lot of the DM saying, no, she is balanced. She has to roll for each of these abilities that she has, and most of the time she won't be able to get these amazing spells off. I just rolled really well for her to be able to turn into a gold dragon, etc, etc, etc. She's the chosen of Mystra. What did you expect? Turns out, before we joined the party, the character had been introduced as sort of an escort quest. The party was supposed to take her to her special temple in Waterdeep where she could learn to control her crazy abilities. She was supposed to be a temporary character that would go away after a while. In fact, the first chunk of the game was supposed to be almost like a tutorial, and she was there to make sure that we didn't die right away. Though I will remind you, the Dungeon Master was originally not the Dungeon Master. He was a player like all the rest of us. After we aired it out, we kind of came to agreement that we were not into it at all, and that we were really annoyed that we had been babied and led along by this overpowered character who basically became the main player in the story. And we thought, now that this has been talked about, we can fix it and it'll be good from now on. No. After that, we played one more session. One final session. We arrived in Waterdeep and went straight to the Temple of Mystra to drop off this Illumian girl. She made this big show and speech of how sad she was going to be to not be with us anymore, and maybe someday we could have some more adventures together and just be so happy together. Well, have fun learning to be the chosen one. Bye. We were walking with the mayor of the town, and he was telling us some of the interesting things that there are to see and to do there. And that's when we met the new DMPC. Oh yeah, we thought we were free. We thought he wouldn't insist on having his own character, even though his wife was going to occasionally run some parts of the game. We were told we saw a beautiful woman in samurai armor, talking quietly to a large man in similar gear. A beggar man approached her, asking for some coin, and she ran him through with her sword. We didn't know that this was the new DMPC, so we were all totally ready to take this girl under arrest. Nope. The mayor placates the woman almost immediately. She tells us that she is a samurai princess from far away, and it's considered a major offense for someone of lowly station to even speak to her. Such an offense worthy of death. The mayor seems to have no problem with this at all. Oh wow, definitely. We'll get this man to a temple right away. I will pay for the resurrection myself. Ah, man, I'd love to live in Waterdeep. As long as your crimes can be reversed by magic, you don't have any problems. For the rest of us, it was more just weird and illogical. And it was pretty clear that none of us were really big fans of what was going on. But she was the new DMPC. She had to be part of the party somehow. So the DM had to make up some way for her to join us. The mayor told us that we had to accept her into our group to teach her the customs of this land and to not stab random passersby, I guess. That was our job, to teach her how to be a good human being. Oh, and to make use of her awesome skill in our adventuring party. I didn't want to rock the boat. And I could tell that whatever I was gonna do, whatever I was gonna feel, it wasn't gonna matter. So I just shut up and went along with it. But I did avoid interacting with her if I possibly could. Seemed like everyone else kind of felt the same though, because after an hour of us kind of talking amongst ourselves about things that we were gonna do, the DM started whining and complaining that we weren't talking to this new character enough. Ugh, fine. So, tell us about yourself.
Oh wow, my name is Princess Anime, and I am super rich and powerful and important, and I got bored in my homeland because no one could beat me in a duel, and people got mad because of how awesome I am. So me and my servant live here now.
There was a lot more than that, but honestly, I couldn't understand everything that she said because the dungeon master used the most stereotypical, thick Japanese accent that I have ever heard. And so I honestly missed about half of what he was trying to say when he was playing one of these two characters. The session ended with her buying a hibachi grill and making sushi for all of us. It was pretty clear that this new character was just going to dominate the campaign once again, so I phoned it in for the rest of the session and I quit the group the next day. My husband did too. So, to recap, because I know it was a lot of swill, he kind of badmouthed his wife's ability and took control away from her. He had a DMPC who was the main character of the story. He invalidated or removed the choices of the player characters. He made a 4 to 6 session tutorial or walkthrough arc without telling any of us, and he whined if we didn't play along. I won't go super into detail about all of these issues. I'm planning on making another video about it where I talk about the things that he might have done wrong and the things that I have done wrong and the way that I have adjusted my own dungeon mastering style because of the things that I learned. Oh my gosh, it stresses me out just remembering this stuff. The feelings that are in my mind about all of this are just supreme frustration. Anyway, if you have any crazy stories that you'd like to share them in the comments below. Thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, drop a like. If you want to subscribe, do that too. If you want to comment, let me know what you thought. Vent about your own bad experiences at D&D, either as a player or a DM. Do that in the comments below. There's links in the description for the Discord channel, for my Instagram, for my Twitch channel. I do a lot of streaming of mini painting. We have a campaign that we're running on there. There's some one-shots to see. Yeah, just kind of anything. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Beautiful, wonderful internet nerds of the world. And I'll see you around. Bye!